President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, 1861 to 1865, is widely regarded as one of America's greatest leaders due to his transformative role during the Civil War and his enduring contributions to the nation's ideals. Below are 10 of his most significant legacies. 1. Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. Lincoln's executive order declared freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states during the Civil War. Though it did not immediately free all enslaved individuals, it exempted border states and Union-controlled areas. It redefined the war's purpose, shifting it from solely preserving the Union to abolishing slavery. This moral and strategic move weakened the Confederacy, encouraged African Americans to join Union forces, and laid the groundwork for the 13th Amendment. 2. 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Lincoln championed the passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude nationwide. Signed into law in 1865 after his death, it marked the culmination of his fight to eradicate slavery, ensuring permanent legal freedom for millions of African Americans. 3. Preservation of the Union. Lincoln's unwavering commitment to preventing the dissolution of the United States defined his presidency. Despite immense political and military challenges, he refused to recognize the Confederacy's legitimacy, asserting that the Union was perpetual. His leadership ensured the survival of the United States as a single, indivisible nation. 4. Gettysburg Address, 1863. In this iconic speech, Lincoln redefined the purpose of the Civil War and the principles of American democracy. He framed the conflict as a test of whether a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal could endure. The address elevated the war's stakes, linking it to the ideals of equality and democratic governance. 5. Leadership during the Civil War. Lincoln demonstrated extraordinary strategic and political acumen as commander-in-chief. He skillfully managed fractious generals, public opinion, and a divided cabinet. His suspension of habeas corpus controversially and use of war powers showcased his resolve to protect the Union, setting precedents for executive authority in times of crisis. 6. Foundations for Reconstruction. Though assassinated before Reconstruction began, Lincoln laid its groundwork with his vision of malice toward none, with charity for all. His 10% Plan, 1863, offered a lenient path for Southern states to rejoin the Union, advocating reconciliation over punishment. He also supported limited voting rights for African Americans, signaling a commitment to civil rights. 7. Economic modernization. Lincoln signed landmark legislation to spur economic growth and infrastructure. Homestead Act, 1862, granted public land to settlers, encouraging westward expansion. Transcontinental Railroad Act, 1862, funded a railroad connecting the Atlantic and Pacific, revolutionizing transportation and commerce. Morrill Land Grant Act, 1862, established public colleges focused on agriculture and engineering, democratizing higher education. National Banking Act, 1863, created a uniform currency and federal banking system, stabilizing the economy. 8. Strengthening the Republican Party. As the first Republican president, Lincoln solidified the party's identity around anti-slavery principles and economic modernization. His election in 1860 realigned American politics, making the GOP a dominant force for decades and shaping its commitment to national unity and civil rights. 9. Promotion of national unity and Thanksgiving. Lincoln institutionalized Thanksgiving as a national holiday in 1863, fostering a sense of shared identity during wartime. His rhetoric, including his second inaugural address's plea to bind up the nation's wounds, emphasized healing and unity, leaving a legacy of reconciliation. 10. Expansion of federal authority. Lincoln's presidency expanded the role of the federal government, asserting its supremacy over states' rights. By leveraging wartime powers, he established precedents for federal intervention in issues like civil rights and economic policy, shaping the modern executive branch's scope. Enduring legacy, Lincoln's assassination in April 1865 cut short his Reconstruction plans, but his vision of a united, free, and egalitarian America endures. He is celebrated for embodying democratic ideals, moral courage, and pragmatic leadership. His legacies abolishing slavery, preserving the Union, and redefining American democracy continue to shape the nation's identity and global standing, as he famously said, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Let us all give President Abraham Lincoln a thunderous applause.